Okay, so today we're going to go over how to create assignments and how to create rubrics. Rubrics are really awesome because they allow you to grade faster, and they also allow you to standardize your grading. So you can make sure that you're grading with the same type of expectations and standards throughout an assignment, because we all know sometimes you get a bit cranky and you haven't had your coffee, and that can drastically affect how a student's grade is going to go. So with rubrics, you kind of offset that, like offset your own bias, and you make sure that your grading is standardized and that it's quick. So I'm going to go ahead and create an assignment, and then I'm going to create a rubric for said assignment. So you want to go to your lessons area in your course, and I'm actually going to create a discussion board because the rubric that I have today is for a discussion board. So I'll go ahead and create a discussion board, and I will create a new forum. Here, and it'll take me to create forum here. So I'll call this test discussion. And here you can put a description if you wish for the assignment. If you want to give the student instructions, what they should do to complete this assignment, I'm going to tell this student to upload a file. And then you can also do forum availability, whether you want it available right now. You can also restrict when it's available, so you can have it display after a certain time or until a certain time. Was there a question? No? Okay, we'll keep going. So you can set that up. And so now we're going to look at grading. So you want to grade your discussion forum. You want to put points possible. I usually go for 100. But it just depends on what system you have. I grade by percentages. Some of you may grade by points total. It's completely up to you. So you can also add a due date. This is good because it allows the students to see when things are due, and it'll show up in their calendar with their other due dates for their other Blackboard classes. So I'm going to make this due today at end of day, which is 11:59 p.m. So I'm going to go ahead and create this discussion, or wait. Hold on. Before I hit submit, I need to add a rubric. So I'm going to click add a rubric, and I want to create a new rubric. So this is how to create a rubric from scratch. So once you're in this menu, you want to name the rubric. I'm going to call this discussion rubric. And I often have general rubrics for discussion, and then I have more specific rubrics for things like short papers or essays or research papers and stuff like that. So what I want to do is, you can put a description if you like, but I think the name is just enough for me. But you have the option here to do a rubric type by percent, points, or a range. I like to do percentage, but it just depends on what you like to do. So for this rubric, I'm going to have 3 criteria here, and I'm going to change the weight so that they all add up to 100. But that's because I'm doing it by percentage. You may choose to do it by points. Like I said, that's completely up to you. And then you have levels of achievement. So here you've got a novice that gets no points for formatting, competent gets half, and proficient gets full credit. Same with organization and grammar. Now, for each of these levels of achievement, you can add feedback or a description of what it means to be in this category. So I'm going to just randomly pull from this rubric that I have over here. I have a PDF of this rubric on my other screen, and I'm just cutting and pasting. So if you have an existing rubric, you definitely can do this. And it just makes it that much easier, because this will show up. If the student gets 0%, it will go ahead and show up. But for now, I'm just going to fill this with text so you can see what it looks like whenever you actually grade with a rubric. So once you're happy with all of your criteria, you can also move the criteria around. You can change the names of the criteria. So say you didn't want this to be formatting, you wanted this to be level of engagement or something like that. You can go ahead and save it. You can also add levels of achievement if you wish. So you can go ahead and add a column. So say you wanted novice, competent, proficient, you can add excellent if you wanted. So if you like having kind of a more broader range, you can do that. And I hope it will let me do that. Let me hit enter and see if it lets me. There we go. So you can go ahead and, so say we did this change and you wanted to have a 4th level of achievement, that means you're gonna have to adjust your percentages. So this will probably, competent will probably have to be 25, proficient will probably have to be 50, and then excellent would be 100. So keep that in mind whenever you're fiddling with your percentages and your points, because you want to make sure that everything is going to come out to the total points that you want. So let me go ahead and change this, 100 and 100. So you can show the criteria for the weight there. And also, like I said, you can add another row. So if you want more criteria, you can add that. But once you are done and you're happy with your rubric, you want to hit submit. And it'll say discussion rubric. You can view the rubric here. So let's view that to see what we just created. So you see how we added all this text, right? And then we added a level of achievement, and we have our criteria right here. So we also have the option to edit the rubric if we wished. So we can get in there into that screen again and move things around. So if there's something you're not happy with, you can always change it. I'm gonna close that out. And so you're gonna use this rubric for grading. It'll tell you when the rubric was last edited. And now you have the option to show this rubric to students. This is very important because it lets the student know the scale upon which they're going to be graded. So you can choose to show it to them with their rubric scores before they do the assignment, so they can see, oh, okay, I need to pay attention to level of engagement, my preparedness, my grammar, whatever it is that you're grading them on. You also have the option to show it to them after grading. So I like to show it to them before. So yes, with rubric scores. So you'll get that check mark. And you'll leave all the settings as you would for a discussion post, and you'll hit submit. And we'll give it time to load, and it'll say forum test discussion created. So we've created that. I'm going to create a link to this in our lesson area here. So this is the link that I'm creating. I'm going to hit submit. Now it's going to be in your lesson area here, this test discussion we just created. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this as a student to show you how your student will interact with this assignment. And then we'll go in and show how, ooh, somebody's got some background noise going on. We'll go into this assignment as a student to show you how a student would interact with it. And then I'll show you how you would grade it as the instructor. So I'm going to go into student preview here. And I'm going to go into my lesson area and into the test discussion. So as a student, this is how it will appear to me. I need to create a thread. So it'll say forum description, upload a file. So my file. And I can browse my computer. And let me go to my downloads. And I can just select a random file to upload, just so you can see what it looks like as a student. And I can go ahead and hit submit after that. So now you can see that your student has submitted something to the discussion. So you can use this for peer editing if you wanted to, or if you wanted your student to share their lab report before it's due and they wanted feedback on it, you can use this function for that. So I'm going to exit the preview. Now, when you exit the preview, it has this statement that kind of, it's like, hold on, wait a minute, alarm bells. You need to delete all the preview user data. That's what's recommended. But if you're a person like me in this class, there's no enrolled students in this shell. I want to show you what a student's work would look like. I'm going to keep the user preview data. So that's one thing you can do if you're in your class hasn't started yet, the class is not available to students until, you know, the fall or something like that. You can go in as a student and preserve the data and be able to go in and see what it would look like to grade. something like that. So I'm going to hit continue. I preserved the data. I want to keep it. And then now I'm going to go to the grade center and I'm going to go to needs grading. And that's where I'm going to find the discussion that I just submitted. So if you were in here as a teacher, you're wanting to grade this student's submission, you would go ahead and click. You can either click on the user attempt directly, or you can click on this gray circle with an arrow and say grade all users. So now right here, we have, this is my preview user and this is the file that I uploaded. And remember how we uploaded the rubric before? You have access to it now. So over here in the grading kind of dashboard, you can click on discussion rubric and it will unfurl here. So remember we changed our description of this criteria to level of engagement, organization, grammar, and then we added our level of expertise essentially, or level of achievement. You also have the option to show descriptions. So in case you are in a couple different classes, or maybe you were a bit hazy about your criteria and what you wanted, you can show that and say, okay, are they at competent? Okay, I want to give them a competent for this grading criteria. And you could do that throughout. And what will happen is as you choose these levels of achievement, it will add them up for you and give you kind of a preview, and it'll say raw total. Once you're happy with the raw total, let me give this person a higher grade just because for funsies. So it'll say raw total out of 100. You can leave feedback for the student. So you can say good work, you know, or better luck next time essentially. And you can save the rubric once you're happy with the grade that you've selected, and it will automatically populate up here. You can leave more feedback to the learner here. You can add notes and everything. But once you do this, you can hit submit. It'll say the grade was submitted successfully now that this assignment has disappeared from the student's grades. You can go to the full grade center, find the student again, which is right here, the preview user. And if we go all the way down, we can see they got an 87.5 on this test discussion. So that can allow you to grade with a bit more speed. And you would do the same thing with a paper. So let me go into that and show you how to create an assignment as well. So let's go into lessons, and you'll select assessments and hit assignment. And I'm going to create a test assignment. And then for the instructions, I'm going to just say upload a file. And then I can put a due date for today at the end of the day if I wished. And then I could put points possible here. Once again, you can add your rubric. So now what we can do is we can select a rubric, since we just created one and we have it in our rubric library. So we can select a rubric here, and you can actually click here on this little icon that looks like two overlapping squares. So say you don't remember what was in that rubric. You can actually click on that and see what's in it and be like, oh, you know, maybe this would be appropriate. I'm going to X this out right now because I want to choose create from existing. So this is a handy dandy little thing. So if you have a rubric already that you created and you want to do something like it and you want to use it as a jumping off point, you can do that. So create from existing, we can select the discussion rubric, and then let me scroll down and hit submit. So it'll make a copy of the discussion rubric here. And say you wanted to get rid of this, you know, column, you could get rid of that column. You could, you know, change the name of a row and maybe call it thesis statement or something like that. You can kind of do what you want, as long as you spell it correctly. Save like that. So now this is a copy of the discussion rubric, and you can hit submit. Oh, this is really good. So it's saying at least one cell in the row must equal 100%. So when we got rid of that row, it's getting mad at us now because we don't have one row that's equal to full percent. So what we can do is we can go through again and change the percentages. So we'll have to change this back to 50. So just be aware of that. Like when you delete and when you take away, it's gonna throw things out of balance. And you have to make sure that everything is balanced here. I'll hit submit. It's happy with me. So once again, I have the show rubric with scores to students. I can choose to show them that and make the assignment available and hit submit. Let me check. So somebody asked, how did you create the link to the rubric? I didn't create the link to the rubric. I just created the rubric in Blackboard. So you can see all your rubrics if you go down to course tools and you can click on rubrics. And so as you can see here, we've got the discussion rubric and then we've got the copy of the discussion rubric here. I'm going to go back to the lesson area because I want to show you how students are going to see rubrics on assignments. We didn't cover that when we made the discussion. So I just want to very quickly show you how it would appear to students. So let me go ahead and go into student preview. So I'm going to go to my lessons area and I'm going to find that test assignment. So students can, if you allow them to see the rubric before they turn in the assignment, they can view the rubric here. So they can actually see what they're going to get graded on. So this is an important thing to point out to them before they do the assignment. Now they can also see, so we graded the other assignment, right? We graded the discussion assignment. So let's go to my grades because I want to show you how it's going to appear to the student. So they have the test discussion. They can see your comments. Good work. Okay, I've got an 87.5. They can also view the rubric and see what they got here. So this is an excellent way for them to kind of measure their progress and see how they're doing in the class. And you just kind of have to let them know that it's here because it's not necessarily user-friendly and really apparent to them. But that's basically it for rubrics and how to create them. Actually, let me exit this preview because I want to show you really quickly how you can move rubrics from classes to classes. So let's go to, remember, we're going to go in course tools and then we're going to go to rubrics. So you can export this rubric if you wish. We can click on this and say that we want to, hold on. So this is import. Okay, so we can click on one of these and say export. And what that will do is you can export it to your computer. You can hit submit, and then it'll give you the option to download, right? Rubric export file. It's gonna do it as a zip, right? And let's say that we're all of a sudden, we're in another class. You are changing over classes and you don't wanna take all of the course content, you just wanna take the rubric. What you could do is you can export your rubrics from that class, select import rubric, browse your computer. So see how we have rubric export file? Click open and then hit submit. And it'll say all this jargon and it'll say the rubric discussion rubric has been imported. And then you could say okay. And now we have 2 discussion rubrics here. You can also get rubrics from third-party publishers, but just make sure that it's a zip file before you upload it. And that's pretty much it with rubrics.